Another coup. This one a coup attempt in another West African country. It's not long ago we talked about Guinea-Bissau and the coup or pseudo coup or query coup or question mark coup that happened in Guinea-Bissau when the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, alleged that it seems that the coup in Guinea-Bissau was staged by Mbalo, who was the president before he was ousted. The dust have not settled on that alleged coup in Guinea-Bissau. Now there's another coup. Today is 7 December in Benin Republic, our neighbors to the west. Remember, our neighbors to the north had a coup. And the north, our neighbors to the north, Niger Republic, is being ruled by military junta. Our neighbors to the east, they had elections, Cameroon, where the 90-something-year-old Paul Biya still won re-election. There were protests against his election, but Paul Biya had, I really still don't understand how Paul Biya, at his age, is able to maintain stronghold on Cameroon. So we have that to our west. And of course, to our south is the Atlantic Ocean, Gulf of Guinea. So our neighbors to the west, our neighbors to the west is Benin Republic. So there was a coup attempt today, December 7th, Sunday, in Benin Republic. So I'll talk a little bit about Benin Republic, just as I did with Guinea-Bissau. Benin Republic got its independence from France in August 1st, 1960. Being that it's a French colony, the official language of Benin Republic is French. The official capital of Benin Republic is at Porto Novo, but its administrative capital, the economic nerve center of Benin Republic, is Cotonou. So this coup attempt took place in Cotonou. Since Benin Republic got its independence in 1960, August 1st, we got our independence October 1st, 1960. So they got independence like 2 months before we got ours. Since its independence, Benin Republic has had six successful military coups between 1963 and 1972. And the military ruled between 1965 to 1968. The military were in charge of Benin Republic. And between 1969 and 1970, the military were also in charge. The last successful coup that took place in Benin was in October 26, 1972. So for a long time, they have not had coup. And this one now that took place today is an attempted coup. And reports now say that the coup has been foiled, has been thwarted, and that the soldiers responsible have been arrested. So the last major coup was in October 26, 1972 by then Major Matthew Kereku. So later it became General Matthew Kereku. At that time, Benin Republic, from its independence, very independent, around the independence time, they had three regional based parties. You have one based in Porto Novo that was headed by a man named Apiti. Another one based in Abomi, headed by a man named Ahoma Degbe. Then to the north, you have Maga, from the north. So these three groups were kind of doing a kind of rotational rule, you know, from 1960 to that 1972 when uh, Major Matthew Kereku now took over. So when he took over in 1972, initially he said that he's not going to be affiliated with capitalism, socialism. It's going to be different, unique. But then 2 years later, in 1974, he announced that the country was now Marxist. They follow Marx policy, that's communism. And then he nationalized the petroleum industry and the banks in Benin. And then in 1975, that's a year later, after declaring the country has become Marxist, he renamed Benin Republic as the People's Republic of Niger. Sorry, I, it's People's Republic of Benin, not Niger. So he renamed it People's Republic of Benin in 1975. Just in 1975, Matthew Kereku renamed the country People's Republic of Benin. Then Matthew Kereku was elected. Remember, he came in as a military leader. Then he was now elected president by the National Revolutionary Assembly in 1980. And then he was re-elected president in 1984. So this Kereku ruled for a long time, you know. But then there was stability. There was no more coup. Then they now faced problem. There were a lot of problems around the 1980s, problems such that Nigeria closed its borders with Benin, and the government of Benin had problem. Government led by Kereku, they had problems, you know, they could not pay civil servants, and the banking system collapsed. So Kereku now felt that the problem was because they had adopted Marxist policy, and being Marxist, being communist, they are going to be, the West will not support them, you know, because the West favors democracy, capitalism, and all of that. So he now renounced Marxism, that the country was no longer Marxist. And then the name was changed from People's Republic of Benin was now changed to Republic of Benin, you know, on March 1st, 1990. So after renaming in 1990, he now allowed a multi-party, he allowed things to liberalize things in Benin. And then there was an election which Kereku now lost to Soglo in 1991. So the term is 5 years. So after 5 years, that's 1991, he left power. After 5 years, in 1996, Kereku contested again, and this time he won. And then 5 years later, in 2001, he won another election. But in 2006, the constitution had already been amended to say that you can only contest 2 terms. You can't go beyond 2 terms. And as a result of the constitution and certain restrictions, Kereku and Soglo were banned from contesting in 2006. It now opened the way for other people to contest. And that's why in 2006, Thomas Boni Yayi now won in 2006. And then he now won re-election again in 2011. You know, Boni Yayi now, after winning 2006, 2011 plus 6, 2016. 2016, his term was ending. So he made efforts to change the constitution so that he can run for a 3rd term. You know, just the way Obasanjo tried to do a 3rd term bid. So he faced a lot of opposition and it failed, you know. and that is how he was not able to contest again. So in 2016, that's when the current president, Patrice Talon, that's when he won. He won after the second round. They do a first round. If nobody gets a majority of the votes, they do a second round. So there was first round, second round in 2016. Patrice Talon, a businessman, won. He defeated investment banker and former Prime Minister Lionel Zinzo. So when Talon now, the current president, when he won, he talked about that he was going to limit the terms of president to a single term of 5 years in order to combat complacency, that the problem they're having is this re-election thing. So he's going to make it one term. But it's easier said than done. After testing power 5 years again, 2016 to 2021, he contested again and won with 86.3% of votes, So, and made some changes in the election laws that resulted in his supporters having total control of parliament. So there was this fear now that his term, he won again in 2021, 2021 plus 5, so 2026. So his tenure will end next year, 2026. But there's this fear that since his supporters have control of the parliament, they could easily change the law and maybe make it possible for him to go for a third term, So that was the situation. Talon term will end next year. And then today we had a coup in Niger where there was an attempted coup rather. So this is a report from security experts, counter-insurgency experts in West African region, Zagazola Makama. He said Nigeria withdraws fighter aircraft as situation stabilizes in Benin Republic. The report goes on, the report by Zagazola Makama. Nigeria has withdrawn the fighter aircraft earlier deployed to the Benin Republic after authorities assessed that the security situation in the neighboring country has stabilized following Sunday's attempted military coup. So Nigeria had sent an aircraft, fighter aircraft to Benin to support the government. So the report went on to say security sources told Zagazola Makama that the aircraft which were deployed from Lagos for surveillance and regional monitoring. Okay, so it's more than one now. So the aircraft were ordered to return to base in the afternoon after receiving updated intelligence indicating that the situation was brought under control and there was no immediate threat to Nigeria's territorial security. So it seems there was fear by Nigeria that if there's a coup in Benin, it could easily spill over to Nigeria. And so that informed why the fighter jet or jets were sent. So the report says Zagazola reports that a military coup attempt against the democratic government of President Patrice Talon was decisively thwarted on Sunday, with loyalist forces retaking full control of the capital by nightfall. The crisis began when mutineers in military uniforms, that's these people that were planning the coup, launched an early hours operation to overthrow the government. Their initial assault on the presidential residence in Cotonou was repelled. Failing to capture the seat of power, the rebel faction then seized the state-run Office de Radiodiffusion et Télévision du Bénin, ORTB. That's the state-run television, taking control of the national broadcast signal. So this group of coup plotters, they tried to take over the presidential palace. That is, they tried to attack the residence of the president But the security, the military, those guarding the palace were successfully thwarted the attack. So seeing that they could not gain access to the presidential palace, they went to take over the television station in uh, the national television station. They took over the station, you know. So they now said the report went on, the situation escalated rapidly, but the government response was swift. Units of the National Guard and loyal armed forces mobilized, surrendering the television station and isolating the mutineers. By late Sunday, security forces had secured key government installations and were in firm command of the city. The situation is under control. The National Guard has everything surrounded, a senior security official stated on condition of anonymity due to the sensitivity of the operation. According to local media reports, including 24 Hours in Benin, the mutineers remained barricaded inside the television station as of Sunday evening. Authorities confirmed that negotiations were underway to secure their peaceful surrender. So, but I saw another report where they said that about 13 soldiers or so have been arrested. So it's possible that the coup plotters have been arrested. President Patrice Talon, who was reportedly secure at an undisclosed location, has not yet made a public statement. There were no immediate reports of widespread violence or casualties in the streets of Cotonou, which were described as tense but calm following the initial alarms. The government is expected to issue a formal statement and provide further details on the incident and the identity of the mutineers in the coming hours. So the government has issued the official statement. Let me look for the statement that was issued by the Interior Minister.